Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Leili, nishmat, Binyomin Rosenfeld. Beautiful, beautiful. Listen, so today's a very special day. I traveled 6 hours today in a car. I went to see one of my properties in Indianapolis. I promised my sons that I'll take them. So we went up there. When they were younger, they didn't care. Now the thing about Yerusha, it's becoming more Negela Maisa. So you want to see what's going on. Before it's like, yeah, some real estate in Indianapolis. Okay, great. Now it's like, it's mamish. So I took them. So here I am. So a lot of the learning was done in the car. Izuneshach in a car is not, it's not a lechatchila. But here we are. And I came back and I read this email as I got back, and it actually brought a tear to my eye. I'm not gonna say a lot of tears, but it made me emotional because I used to work in a kitchen. I used to be a caterer, had very, very long nights. And we just came from a hotel program, and I know the amount of work that goes into making the meals. And imagine doing a Seder in the kitchen. You're the chef in the kitchen during the Seder, right? So when you get to do the Haggadah, it's not really there. So it becomes available to you like 2 a.m, okay? Realizing this, I want to read this email. He asked me not to say his name, so I'm not going to say his name. Usually I would ask, Yosef to reach out to him and say, listen, it's going to give chizuk. We need to know your name. He doesn't want it. I didn't have time for that, but I want to read this anyway. Yeah. Please don't read my name out loud. I work at a Pesach program as a chef. He's a chef. So it's not like he has time to go. You have to serve from A to Z, including the dessert. You have to be there. It's a very challenging job, and it's long and grueling hours. Every year, my Yiddishkeit takes a big hit. Becoming emotional just thinking about what this guy's going through. I usually barely daven and can't sit down for a proper sudas. This year, because I'm on such a solid streak for the daf, I really wanted to stay with it. Baruch Hashem, I'm happy to report that I'm still with the daf. It's hard for me to describe exactly how big of a deal it is, but you'll have to imagine. I could imagine. It's unbelievable. I would listen to the shir while I was working. After the second Seder, listen, here it is. After the second Seder, after I finished my work and got to sit down to do my own Seder, it doesn't say what time it is, but you could imagine. I went to the base medrash, and with my eyes closing, I got through the daf. What an amazing email. Thank you for pushing the Yomi so much. Great, now my lens, I think I lost my lens. Thank you for pushing the Yomi so much, where I saw the chashivos and kept it up. All the best, name withheld. Yishkoich Mark, next. So this is an Israeli who's writing to me that he's going to be in Shanghai, and he's going to try to get more Jews to join the daf. Lamais, I could say that on the flight to China, which is a very long flight and a very hard flight, I was zechus to learn in your zechus 3 or 4 daf with real Havana and real simcha amitis. David Greenfield, unbelievable. Okay. Rabbi Isai, hayoim asar yomim shem shavu echad ushleisha yomim ba'omer or la'omer. And you're right, Mark. We both pushed it together, so that's why I jumped to. The Masechta is sponsored by Anonymous for the safe and speedy. That email. No, it gives me chizuk. It's emotional, but it gives me chizuk. Think about it. What other program? I'm not aware. If you know of another program of learning, and there are a lot of Hachaver programs, a lot, and I'm not knocking any program, but that I keep on saying it. Some are even more Hachaver than Daf Yomi. But this idea that a guy that just worked till 2, 3 in the morning sits down and does the daf, it's unbelievable. I don't know of another program. I'm not going to mention any names, even the ones with Chazara and this one and the Ummah. To go and do that daf at 3 in the morning. The Masechta Anonymous for the safe and speedy return for all the hassles. Paras HaChodesh, the nishmat Zechrya ben Moshe, Mark, he's going to start doing. The people are going to start saying, okay, what happened? When does he become emotional? When? So Erev Yantif, when it was grueling. This guy was okay. He'll start doing a whole set of show. The Masechta Anonymous for the safe and speedy return for all the hostages. Parnas hachodesh leili nishmat Zechrya ben Moshe leili nishmat Zechariah bas Yosef. Parnas hachodesh Binyomin Rosenfeld for hatzlacha in business and all my endeavors. Parnas hayoyim Elkhanan Hanasabzadeh leili nishmat Yosef ben Shalom. In the beginning, I thought maybe it's like a thing. Hana Hanes Sabzadeh. Anybody? Leili nishmat Yosef ben Shalom alav Shalom. Are the man that has zechus for his childbirth, his daughter, and healthy baby? The kids are. Yosef, please check out what's going on with this Art of the Month business. Thank you. Boys, once again, we have a daf that if you just started today, if you're coming back from the Pesach break, and you're just joining us for Ezu Neshech, and yesterday we had Avi's father who I saw, he had trauma. He was like, it's easy, I didn't do anything. And then he came to me after the show, he said, I understood everything. It was his first daf. You don't have to really know much, and it's not as complicated as they made it out to be so far. So good. Including today's daf. But we're going to learn a lot of different interesting halachas, one after another, and we're holding the Samachet Amud Aleph, 6-7 lines down. Nusugya Omar Abai. Yeah, you got it? Samachet Amud Aleph, Omar Abai. Hayman de Masik Zuzi Berbisa Bechaver. There's two bad guys. They decided to take out a loan with interest, which you're not allowed to. It's the raisa to take out a loan with interest. And you could purchase with one zuz, let's call it $1, you could buy 4. You're going to have two similar cases like this. The borrower gives the lender a freebie, gives him 5. So it goes something like this. Here we go. Put it on the screen. This guy lent him, let's say, $1. And this guy has a bunch of wheat, 4 for $1, but he gives him 5 instead of 4. He doesn't have to give him 5, he give him 4. He was so happy. There's like interest to the interest, yeah?
Besides giving the $1 back.
Yeah. This is in addition. The interest is 4, he gave him 5. So there's extra interest. Because we already learned, and we're going to see it later on, that Alef Zeg Reb Eliezer, that you could go to Bezdin and get back the ribbis, the interest payments that you made. Since it was done illegally, you get your interest back. So how much do you get back? Do you get back 4 or do you get back 5? Because 5 is really also part of the interest. It was a freebie on top of the interest. Instead of paying $100 worth of interest, the borrower gave back $110 worth of interest. So now you go to court. How much is the court going to be mechayiv to give back? You hear the Shayma? Interesting Shayma.
Maybe he gave him more because of the tircha, and he has to go sell it now.
No. If there's a tircha, then it's not worth 4. It's worth 4. So he says the Gemara, you only get back. You only have to give back 4, not 5. The 5th was just he was giving a good deal, and on the good deal you can't recoup that in court, in Bezdin. But what you could recoup is the interest payments. Rava Amar Rava says, and that's how we paskin, and because Rava, why do we paskin like Rava? Because he's one of the latest Amoraim, and Allah is like him a lot. You could get back, recoup all 5. Because why did he give him 5? He gave him 5 because it was part of an interest payment. It wasn't a freebie. It wasn't that he gave him a good deal. Okay. What about if he gave him extra cash? See this case, you hear Reb Zalman. He gave him wheat, extra wheat. Instead of giving him 4 for the ribbis, he gave him 5 for the ribbis. What if he gave him cash? Instead of $100, he gave him $110. So in this case, Rava would admit that he doesn't get back the extra $10 of the extra ribis. Only why? Because ribis is ribis ktsutza. Ribis ktsutza means there's a certain amount made up all the way in the beginning. So when it comes to cash, this is the amount that you made up. You made up 100, not 110. So when I go to Bezdin, I can recoup the 100, not the 110. But when it comes to fruit, it wasn't made up. So then that entire amount comes back when Bezdin takes it away from you. Another halacha. A guy owes his friend 4 zuz of interest. And instead of giving him 4, he gives him a coat. So when you go retrieve the coat, the guy can say, I don't want to give you the coat. I want to give you the cash that I got the coat instead of. You were supposed to pay me 4, and you gave me a coat. I'm not giving you the coat. I'm giving you 4. You don't take the coat back. Rav says you do get the coat back. Why? Because they shouldn't say that this coat that you're dressing with and you're keeping yourself warm with is a ribis coat. In other words, an object that has a unique object, like a coat, like a car, like a horse, like a whatever it is. People will say, "Oh, that's a ribis coat." There was a guy in Eretz Yisrael who kept Shemitah for the very first time. And I forgot all the details, but basically, because he kept Shemitah, so he had a lot of celery. Something about celery. Someone gave him celery seeds. It's because he was keeping Shemitah. He got stuck with celery, which was a terrible product. But it ended up being that there was a certain country that really needs celery and made a ton of money. So he bought himself an Eretz Yisrael. He bought himself a Cadillac. The Cadillac is very rare. So especially in those days, I remember when I learned in Rehovot in a high school in Rehovot, there was the Kreshna forever. He had a Cadillac. It's like it's probably from the 70s, whatever, but still a Cadillac. So they called this guy's Cadillac Shemitah Cadillac. It's a Shemitah Cadillac because he made all this money off of Shemitah because he had a lot of celery. So he bought himself a Cadillac. Over here, they're going to call it the opposite, a ribis Cadillac, a ribis coat. That's no good. You don't want a bad association, a bad name associated with something. Oh, you owe me 12 interest. He says like this, look, the lender realizes it's going to be a while until he gets paid, right? What do you see up there? Let's see. Here, do we have a picture for this actually? For rent, 10, not 10, 12. So it goes like this. Let's say the lender, he decides to settle on, he's not going to get money. They told him, sure, listen, the borrower, you lent that guy money, forget about it. You know how many people he owes money to? You'll never see a dime. And then he finds out that the lender, he has a rental property. He needs it for the young couple. They need it for a month until they go to Eretz Yisrael. He says, oh, you know what? Instead of you paying me cash, give me your rental. I'll take your rental. How much? So the rental goes for 10. It goes for $1,000 a month. He says, you know what? You owe me $1,200. Forget it. Just give me the rental for a month. I'm moichel you the whole chayv. The malva was being large. The lender said, you know what? You really owe me $1,200. Just give me $1,000 worth of rental, and I'm moichel you. So the guy says, deal. Couple moves in. They live there. So now how much does the couple gain, really? They only gained $1,000.
Right.
Because that's the market, right? That's the market.
Yeah.
You can rent it all day long for $1,000. The malva said, I'll take it upon myself as if I got $1,200. This guy is up to no good. The borrower, he runs to Bezdin. He says, Bezdin, this guy just took a rental from me for ribis. It's osir. He did it issa deraisa. So Bezdin calls the borrower, here, come here. You took a rental for ribis? Yeah. Pay him back. How much did he pay back? 1,000, because that's the market, or 1,200, because that's how much he agreed that he's going to be moichel him. You're not going to believe the halacha. The halacha is 1,200. Oive is right. He did him a favor. I'm forgiving you a whole loan for $1,200 in lieu of $1,000 rental. Then you, Russia, run to Besdin. Listen, he's also Russian. He took the loan. Both parties are guilty here for interest loan. It's not just the lender, it's also the borrower. He's over the same way. He goes to Besdin to snitch on himself and the other guy to get his money back. How much? He wants a full $1,200 back.
It's different than the Reb Zilberstein story with the vase. The guy said, I'm going to give you this vase, it's really 100, you're a good friend, I'll give it to you for 50. And he's packing up and it breaks. And the guy's like, oh, give me 100 because you were charging 100. He passed him that.
Which reminds me of the other story where the vase broke and the guy like, he felt he didn't know what to do. He bought this expensive vase as a gift for somebody. So he tells the store owner, you know what, just pack it up as is and ship it to the guy because I already paid for it. And and in his mind, he's thinking, I'll pretend that it broke on the way, so I get credit for it. The guy gets a box, he opens it up, and he sees 100 pieces of glass wrapped in wrapping. Each piece was wrapped individually.
That's one of the sugar jokes.
Anyway, my leg. Sorry, so it says like this. Let's start from the beginning. Amar Rava. Hayman the Masik traces the Rebbe Hachaver. The guy owes him 12. So he says, I have a place that's usually 10. You see here on the sign it says 10. It's crossed out and it says 12. For you, I'll do you a big favor. I'll rent it to you for 12. Thank you for the loan, and I'm going to charge you 12. And he rents him usually he only gets 10. And he takes 12. But when he runs to Besdin and snitches on him, he gets back 12. The loiva is going to get back 12 instead of 10. But he should say, why? I got profit. The reason why I agreed to 12 is because I was going to make money on this. I was going to get paid back finally. So I said, I agreed to 12 instead of 10. But now that I'm not making any profit because you took me to Besdin, I'm losing all my interest. So why should I pay more than the whole world? There's a market for this apartment. It's only 1,000. Why should you charge me 1,200? Says Gemara Mishum, the Omar Lei Savers V'Kabal. You agreed that was the price. You thought at the time that you're going to get paid in full, and you didn't care. You were Michael. You took it upon yourself that this apartment is 1,200. Now you're going to have to pay back to the borrower 1,200. Says the Heilige Mishnah, in appreciation to myself and all the MDY Chevra. I think that's the lashon. I have to write it down to be more exact. Something like that. Shkoich, whoever you are. Marbin ala sochar ve'in marbin ala mecher. So it's mamish in Yonah D'Yoma. This is what happened to me, and on the way here, I realized that I might have made a mistake, so I got to look into it. So I'm not going to say this straight out. What it says over here is that if you delay your rental, so I had a whole meeting there with the property manager and the what do you call it, manager? What's going on the property? Geschmack. I'll tell you what I told them. It's going to shock you. They said that the property is at 99% occupancy. So I had to be, that guy, that boss.
You're like, the rent is too low.
The rent is too low. I said, haven't I told you 1,000 times? And I didn't say it like that. I said, I didn't say it. You know what I said? I said, and what does that mean? What does that mean, 99%? You want me to clap over here? So she says, what do you mean? We raised rents. We raised rents. Obviously not enough. How are you at 99%? That's a terrible thing, 99%. 99% on 460 apartments, 99%. That's a lot. That means there's nothing available. There's a waiting list. Schmack. When I bought the properties, that's 60%. Something like that, 60-something percent. No, I used to sleep. I told my kids, I used to drive this drive at least once a week. And one time I came back just to give a shear and went back. I don't know how I did it. When you're young, you're sugar. You can do it. 6 hours in one day. Boom, boom. Eat. What do you eat? Chocolate and soda on the way. And bring a sandwich. Who thought about that? So you could charge if there's a delay on the rent, you could charge more. Does that mean you're allowed to charge late fees? I'm not so sure. Maybe yes, maybe not. In other words, if you pay me later, I'm going to add money. But if I delay on a sale, then that doesn't work. In other words, there's no agar notar on rent. That halacha is on sale, and the Gemara is going to explain why. What's the difference between a sale and a rental? Okay, Tzad. So the Mishnah explains, his kilois chatzeiroi, he rented out his yard. There's two prices. If you give me everything right now, I'll give it to you for 10 whatever, 10,000 for the year. But if you're going to pay me monthly, sell a chodesh. It's going to cost you 12,000 for the year. If you give me everything up front, it's 10,000. If you pay me at the end, it's 12,000. In the beginning, it's 10,000. At the end, it's 12,000. In other words, for me to wait with your money, it's going to cost extra 2,000 for the year. Extra 2, whatever you want to call it. That is mutter. But if you sell a field, if you pay me everything up front, it'll be 1,000. But if you're going to wait until the threshing, in other words, you're going to wait with it, it's going to cost you another price of 12,000 also. See here what's going on here? If you go to the store and they say, okay, listen, if you pay for the car up front right now today, it's one price. But if you want the car with credit, that's another price. You know, that's what they do today in car sales, right? That's ribbis. That's awesome. One price for now, a second price for delayed payment. That's what credit is. Why is that awesome? Because I'm giving you two prices. If I only give you one price, I say, you want to buy this car, it's 12,000 if you pay me at the end of 4 years, that's okay. We'll see. But if I give you two prices, I say there's a cheap price and a more expensive price, boom. When it comes to rental, it's mutter. So I thought, here's the Mishnah that says you're allowed to take late fees for rental. It doesn't say that here. Late fees might be a problem. Over here it says that you're allowed to take all the rent up front or at the end. Two prices. It doesn't say that if a guy is late on his rent for 3 days, that's what we do in our properties, we take late fees.
Knas, no?
It's a knas, but it's agarnator. It's a knas because they're holding onto your money. You wanted their rent money. They were supposed to pay you $1,000 on the first of the month, and they paid it to you on the 5th of the month. Boom! It's now $1,100. It's money on the money. You're taking interest because they're holding. Well, what does agarnator mean? You're getting paid for them to hold on to your money.
If they pay on the 20th, it's still $100 fine.
No. Every day is another fine.
Oh, every day.
Of course.
But if it's a one-time fine for that month.
Here's something very interesting. I saw this. I don't think it has to do so much with ribbis, but I guess I gave them permission at one time or another. I don't remember. But that doesn't mean anything because I don't remember a lot of things. Because of the whole Amazon thing, so they were overwhelmed with hundreds of packages a day. A truck comes and dumps everybody's Amazon into the office. People are coming in, going, phone calls, pick up your stuff. So we had to invest $40,000 locker system. You know these locker systems? The guy comes, puts your stuff in a locker, and then Amazon locker, and then you come, you put a code, costs us $40,000 for their Amazon.
But it saved you manpower.
Saves crazy manpower. There's no, you can't deal with it. First of all, it just takes over rooms of stuff. And then you're busy calling the whole day, pick up your stuff. And people coming in and out of the office. Well, here it's outside, it's outdoors. Boom. But the thing is, hold on a second. The reason why I thought about it is because we do earn money if they don't pick up their package, it charges you $15 or something to take your package out of the machine. If it's there for like a day or two. So I don't know what that is. What is that? That's
rent.
Space rent for the space. It's not a late fee. Yeah, what are you saying?
So could you say if you paid the rent
every month on the first of the month, it's $1,000 a month. If you pay on the fifth of the month, it's $1,020 a month.
I hear what you're saying. I was thinking about that. So it's not exactly that, but I hear what you're saying. He's coming up with a solution for the late fees, and he's saying that there's $1,000 if you pay it on the first. My price is if you pay it on the fifth, it's $1,010. It's not a fine, but it's part of the rent.
I think that may be interest.
I think the Mishnah specifically put it in this order where that would be the problem. But if I would say rent is $1,000 a month, if you pay rent ahead of time, I'll give you the fruit 10. That wouldn't be a problem at all.
You saying the late fees?
The way the Mishnah put it is $10,000 for the year, but if you want to pay it month by month, it's going to be $1,000 a month, which would make
Right.
12, which would be.
By the way, we have to see one thing. Simi, before you go weiter, there's one piece that we're missing. Why is rent different? Once the Gemara says it, you're going to start looking at everything differently. Rent is due at the end of the month, not at the beginning of the month. By us also, that's how it is. You live there for a month, and you pay oh no, are we paying the first for the coming of the month?
Yeah, but
halachically, it's at the end. That makes the difference between rent and a sale. So I don't know if what you're saying, are you machashiv that in there and what you're saying? Does it make a difference what I just said?
No, because that's exactly what I'm saying. Every month you pay it $1,000. I'm going to kind of borrow money from you and pay
Still
you.
awesome.
No,
Yeah, that's still interest. That's still in Hilchos Rivers. That doesn't matter. Yeah, is it this?
I'm going to give you this.
Anyone has any Rebishahs, ask your
Yeah.
Orthodox rabbi.
So what? Yeah, but Simi, it goes both ways. The loiva, the malva, the buyer, the seller. It doesn't matter. Any way you look at it, it's still a difference in money, and I'm getting a discount because you're holding on to my money. Whatever. It doesn't really. I don't think it makes a difference in ribbis.
A lot of times early bird discounts and stuff like
Okay,
that.
so let's go back. Exactly. That's why this opens up our eyes to a lot of different issues that we have on a day-to-day thing. You as a renter are also asked to pay late fees. If I as a landlord can't take them, then you can't pay them.
The answer is do business with God.
Yeah, but you know that there are going to be Jews everywhere you go. One of the residents is going to be a Jew. Anyway, hopefully he pays on time. Says the Gemara. But late fees are big problems. So in rental, you might have some sort of heter, maybe, I don't know. But late fees in general on a library book or whatever is a problem of ribbis. Okay, where are we? Mutter. But if you sell a field, and if you make two prices on a field, you pay me everything up front now. Right? I know somebody in Israel that has to pay all his rent because he has bad credit. He has to pay all his rent up front. So I don't think he gets a discount. That was the only deal. The way you go. Okay, fine. Says Gemara. What's the difference between rent and the sale? Oh, because rent fee is only due at the end. So therefore, I'm not waiting with your money. I'm not taking your money and waiting. I'm waiting. Now, if you go, maybe that's what Simi was saying. Maybe if you give it all the way in the beginning, you get a discount. Okay. Now, those who say, I thought about it, but then I saw it pretty much in the Svarim. As I was reading this, I was thinking to myself, we, as Yidden, we work hard in this world, and we only get schar at the end. In the schir we get schar no But what about Olam Hazeh? So if you coin it, if you make a kinyan, if you control your Yitzhahara, so then you get a little bit of schar in this world as well. Fine. I saw that Avnei Nezer says on this idea. He says that when you learn a Masechta, you get the hashpah, you get the sort of the reward and the hashpah of the Masechta at the end. That's why I make a big siyum. You don't get it as you go, but at the end. That's why I don't know where you got that chiddush from, but that's what he says. Fine. Zog the Gemara. And since the Gemara explains, since the rental is all the way at the end, and the time didn't come to collect, lav agar notar. So he's not waiting for the money. The money, anyways, wasn't going to come to him until the end of the year. Mishvu, the hachishavia. This is what it's worth. It worth behind the Karmeli. So why do you make a deal with him? He gave him a discount. I think that's what Simi was basically saying. Seifa, but when it comes to rental, since it's a sale, and a sale you take your money all the way in advance. So this is what's ribis? What's the klal of ribis? Klal of ribis is agar notar. You're getting paid for waiting. So when it comes to sale, you should have taken all your money all the way in advance, and you are waiting. Awesome, that's awesome. Rabbanon looked into this chirus in Eliezer. Where did they get it from? Get it from the pasuk that talks about a Jew who sells himself to a guy. A guy comes, he's in a really bad situation. He sells himself to a non-Jew. It's a big problem because he's obviously going to be influenced by the non-Jew. He does have a desire and everything else. So it says in the pasuk, he's treated as an employee year by year. So it should say kisachar shana, like an employee by year. What's bishana? What's the second word of shana? So from here you see a hint to this idea that you get paid in the second year. For the first year, when you rent something, somebody, or a house, you pay at the end. Okay, next thing. But if you do this for a field, you sell. A bunch of halachas are boys. Tarsha shari. The way I sell on credit is mutter. Says Reb Nachman, what do? You know what the word tarsha is? Tarsha means dumb. D-U-M-B, dumb. It means that the people are dumb to the ribbis, meaning I'm selling you something on credit for a higher price. That's mutter, says Reb Nachman. So the Gemara is going to explain why. It says over here in our Mishnah that you're not allowed to take a higher price for getting paid later. This explains the whole thing. If you give the guy two prices, you say this is your price for cash up advance, this is your price you pay in a year on credit, that is awesome. But if you only have one price, here's your price, and you don't have to pay me for a year, that's mutter. If the price is known everywhere, so it doesn't matter if you explain that there's two prices, one price, everybody knows that a car costs X amount, and you go into the dealership and he says one price, and he means one price if you pay him after 4 years, also, even though he said one price. Why? Because everybody knows that a brand new Camry doesn't cost $80,000. They know it costs 40. It's costing 80 because you're paying it on credit. Same thing if it's a very high price, the Vilna Gaon says it's also also okay. All right, Tarsha Didi Shari. So we all know what did Rav Papa do for a living? No, Yosef. Anybody?
He's a beer merchant.
Are you looking in the art scroll?
Yes.
So he used to make beer for a living out of dates. He's very, very wealthy. You see it throughout Shas. Papa, different stories with him and his beer. So he says like this. The way he sold beer, in the month of Tishrei, there's a lot of beer, there's a lot of dates. That's when you had dates, beer. So it's very cheap. Later on, half a year later, during Pesach season, it was very expensive. So he said, listen, I want to sell all my beer in Pesach. I don't need you. I don't need any favors. I'm very wealthy. I don't need your cash. I have plenty of cash. I hold on to my beer and sell it all out in Pesach. You want my beer today, half a year early? Pay me Pesach time. Pay me Pesach price at Pesach.
But it's the price.
You pay me like everybody else. You can take it today. Pick it up today. Pay me Pesach time, Pesach price. Says Reb Papa, that's mutter. The Gemara argues on him. The Gemara, we don't pass him like him. What's his logic? His logic is that he doesn't want to sell it. He doesn't need your money, and that's it. He's doing you a big favor. He's selling it. The problem is, but what about the buyer? For him, it's a problem. He got up. He knows this. Oh, we have another. Is this? I don't know where to put this exactly. This one. It's a nice picture of an Israeli guy in the shuk selling an American guy. It says in Hebrew, 1 for 20. A special price for Americans, 1 for $75. No, the shekel. It's a shekel. Anyway, I don't know. It goes somewhere. I'm sure we'll figure it out as we go on. So, anyways, says Rav Papa. Or Rav Papa, Tarsha Didi Shari, my taima, Shichroi Loi Posid. My beer is not going to spoil. Which, anyway, it reminds me of Maisa of. There might be some Musar Haskell. There's a shul of a lot of poor people, and they're like, why is it that in the shul of all the wealthy guys, their simchas Torah is out of this world? They realize that because they drink a lot of vodka. They're all tipsy, they're all geschmacks. They say, you know what? We also need vodka. But look, they have a whole barrel of vodka. You know, since we're poor, we can't afford it, but put a barrel, and once in a while, everybody comes by, pours in a cup of vodka. You know that in the story?
Awesome.
They come into the Torah and they start pouring vodka for everybody from the barrel. Turns out it's all water. What happened? Each guy said, you know what? There's plenty of vodka. I'll just pour a cup of water. Nobody's going to know the difference. But everybody thought the same thing. So they just kept pouring water the whole year. And they had a thing of water. Okay, great. My beer doesn't get ruined. What's the Musar Haskell? Zalman?
Only Moshe.
Huh?
Only Moshe.
Only Mashkin. Shkoyach. Shechroi like Passes. This is like certain. I don't need the money. I know the Kohavidna Mills to Gabi Lekech. I'm doing him a big favor. I'm letting him purchase it now. I don't want to be busy with this. And Sukkot time. I get all busy during Pesach. I'm doing him a favor. I'm opening up the store early for him. I'm there. She's ready to Papa. My cousin, my who told you to go after you? You're self-centered. You're thinking about yourself. What about the buyer? If he had the money, he'd purchase it right now for today's price. The reason why he's willing to buy it for the higher price and pay him Pesach because he doesn't have money. He needs to drink. Fine. Rav Chama. Rabbi Yosef, remember this one. This halach is like Rav Chama. Tarsha didi vadei shari. My tarsha, my credit is great. So what happened? Interesting story. A guy has a bunch of merchandise. He needs to get his merchandise from Chicago to China. How does he get it to China? It's a great idea. You guys are traveling to China, right? You do business in China. You're going empty-handed. You'll take all my stuff to China. Here's the thing. You don't have any cash. You guys are poor. You don't have cash. You're going to take my stuff to China, sell my stuff in China, and then you'll have cash. You'll use my cash. I get free shipping to China because you're bringing it there. You guys get a bunch of cash to use and buy your merchandise in China. And at the end of the day, when you come back to Chicago, you'll give me my money for my merchandise.
Smells like rivers.
Smells like, why is it rivers?
Because we're working for you and
you're working for me, but you get cash.
We get cash, but we have to give that cash back.
Oh, so you're giving the cash back plus
our work.
The work. Oh, very good. You hear the problem? So let's say the story again. I have merchandise in Chicago. I need to get it to China and sell it in China. I find you, because you don't have money, you'll take all my stuff to China, sell it in China. Why would you do that? Because now you have a bunch of cash to work with. You borrow my cash and you buy your merchandise and you bring it back to Chicago. Now you have merchandise in Chicago, you're doing great. Bought a bunch of tchotchkes in China. I sold my stuff in China. We all did great. The problem is Yosef, that it sounds like interest. Why? Because you traveling to China and selling my stuff, you get money and you have to give me back the money. But in addition to that, you also worked for that money. You had to sell and schlep and everything else. So you borrowed my money for a month, but you had to give it back and you had to carry my stuff to China and sell it on the streets there. So says Rav Chama, that's not a problem. In this particular case, each case is an individual case. If it was exactly like I just said, you're right. But there's a little trick here. My time, so you know what this is called? Let's just see where it is. Did I not? Oh, it is here. Okay, it's called ribis mugdemis. You hear, Yosef?
Yeah.
You're schlepping and doing everything before you took the loan. So that's early ribis. You're paying interest before it even happened. Also. My time. Nichalahu, because it's a win-win situation. I'm going to counteract your selling of my stuff with another thing called the leili b'shutzi. Everybody knows it's Rav Chama's stuff. First of all, you get a discount on all the tariffs and taxes. Why? Because Tamid Chachamim don't pay taxes. So now you're using my name. The other thing is v'noket lu shuka. Listen to this. They close down the market. They say only Rav Chama's stuff can be sold today. Not only that, your stuff also is going to be sold in a closed market. You have a monopoly on the market because you're Rav Chama. Oh, so you gain from me because I'm Rav Chama, and you're schlepping for me. So that schlepping and selling and my name counteracts each other, and you borrow money from me and you give it back. So it's not considered interest.
You get that also.
He's
Then your money
dividing
plus
everything.
You the seller in China gain more. In the beginning, you guys thought that you're borrowing money and you're selling for me. The selling is free. I should pay you for selling. The answer is no. I paid you because now you're using my name. You're selling with my name. You're also selling your stuff with my name. There's benefits because
What about the schlepping part?
also you want to schlep because you're using my name. You don't have to pay taxes. It's huge savings. Tax-free,
Well, on the way down.
duty-free, on all the ways.
On both ways.
Both ways. You're Rav Chama's guy.
Your stuff going there, this stuff I take back, which is mine, I'm not paying.
You're not paying taxes. Also, you sell a bunch of stuff in China also on your own market. The government comes, shuts everything down. You're Rav Chama, sell whatever you want. Nobody else could sell while you're selling. It's tremendous benefit.
Are you considered a partner so that you're not cheating the government?
Oh, 1 minute. You just reminded me of something very important. I just have to mention one thing. Rav Chama never took any. Rav Chama takes all responsibility on his merchandise all the way to China until it's sold. So that's another reason why I would think that it's ribis.
So
They're not even partners.
Is it Shom Rechinam or is it Shom?
Yeah, like a Shayma kind of. Okay, what were we saying? Sorry, real quick. We were late.
If you thought that it was,
Oy vey, 42 minutes.
if you treat him as a partner, you
Yeah.
can say it's much, but if he's not a partner.
Let's talk later. Let's talk later. We'll talk later. Vilchas like Rav Chama. So first of all, this halacha that we just said, the halacha is like Rav Chama. He's good. Everything adds up. You're using Rav Chama's name. He does the business. It's a whole long story, but it works out great. It's not interest. Vilchas like Reb Eliezer. This is going back a couple daf or whatever, wherever it was that, and we just mentioned it today as well. Bezdin will revoke your interest. If you take interest, you will pay for it. You'll have to return it. And the laws like also not today's daf that we said that what? When you do a forward contract on fruit, I give you cash today, you're going to give me fruit tomorrow at an even more expensive price. So let's say I give you $1,000 and you're supposed to give me $1,000 worth of fruit, but the fruit price went up and now it's worth $1,500. You have to give me $1,500 worth of apples. So it says Rabbi Yana Big Chidush, in lieu of the $1,500 worth of apples, I can give you a pile of cash. So what just happened? I gave you $1,000. You returned to me $1,500. Doesn't that look like interest? Says Riyan, it's mutter. If I could give you fruit, I could just exchange it to cash. No difference. Says the Elegant Mishnah, sponsored in recognition, and what was the lashon over there of myself and all of MDYers. Hachaver and MDY. Oh, yeah, thank you. Kidnovations in honor of my Uncle Reb Elchanan Pressman as zechus for Akiva Simcha Ben Feiga, official mitzvah motivators in honor of the Levins for sponsoring Sparring for the daily and their Talmud learning. Rabbi Yosef, you're in Chicago. You want to see the one and only official gross. Come tomorrow. He'll be here tomorrow, Beis Hashem, bright and early, 2 o'clock. Gewirtzman brothers. To the Yartzeits grandfathers, Hachaver, Moshe ben Yerachmiel, Shalom, and Horav Eliezer Moshe ben Reb Shayma Zatzal. Says Mishnah Machal says Damim. A guy sells a field, but he only buys it with a down payment. He owes him money. So we see in the Gemara, there's 4 things that could actually happen when I give a down payment. And he says, whenever you have the rest of the cash, give it to me and take your field. Asur. The fruit on the field is asur. Now, no one can touch this fruit. Why? This whole thing is asur. Because either way, you get a ribbis over here. Why? Because if, let's say, the seller takes the fruit over here and the buyer ends up buying it, so the seller took his fruit. That's interest. Yeah? The seller is using the fruit. He's using the field. When the buyer eventually comes up with the money, it's going to be his field, and the seller was using his field. He was using all the fruit from the field. So not only did he get paid for the field, he also got an extra fruit. Now, what if the buyer takes the fruit and it turns out that there's no deal at all? He never came up with the money. So the deal is canceled and the buyer used fruit, took fruit. It's also a problem. It's also a problem with ribbis. Why? Because he gets back his money plus he gets fruit. So it's as if he got paid for his money with fruit. Either way you look at it, there's a problem of interest. Also. If he lent him money, and he says, listen, I have a field as collateral, and I want, if you don't pay me back in full, I'm going to take your field as collateral, even though this field is worth more than the loan. It's a great trick, right? You lend somebody $1,000, you take something that's worth $2,000, you say, listen, if you don't pay me by this date, this thing that's valued, this field that's valued, this piece of real estate that's valued $2 million for the $1 million loan is mine. That's what banks do, right? They cross collateralize. I give you $1 million loan and I'll take this building, it's worth $2 million. You better pay me. Says the Mishnah, what could be the problem, Rabbi say? Why shouldn't it not be his? You're familiar with this word, smachta. Smachta means a guy, sometimes people exaggerate. Say, listen, I'll give you $1 million if that car is not a Cadillac. $1 million. And you find out it's not a Cadillac. Is he really going to give you $1 million? He really meant $1 million. He's exaggerating. So a guy that's borrowing money, he's borrowing $1 million, he says, listen, if I don't pay back, I'm going to give you this building for $2 million. You think he really wanted to give you a building for $2 million? He's exaggerating. It's not, he didn't really intend to do it. Sometimes people bluff. When it's obvious, even though you could say, but that's why gambling is a big problem halachically.
No
Because nobody thinks they're going to lose. So then, by you taking his money, you're stealing. So, asmachta, but the Mishnah says over here works. That's how it goes. People lose their buildings all the time because of it. I know people here in Chicago that lost a lot of their real estate because they collateralized their real estate. And that's it. The bank comes or people come and take your real estate. Bais is the son of Zunim. By the way, Zunim, he says that the father, Zunim, was the Gabbai of Gamliel, and he used to remind everybody to destroy the chametz before Pesach. So the son used to do this trick. He used to take collateral that was worth more than the loan, and then he would go and collect that collateral even though it was worth more than the loan. When there's the down payment, says the Gemara, who gets to eat the fruit? The Gemara is going to say this is not even a machlokes. Ravuna says the seller. No, we have to put the fruit in escrow. Says the Gemara, really, please, there's no machlokes. When he says, when you bring the money, you gave me down payment today in 2024. When you give me the rest of the money in 2025, it will become yours when? In 2025. So Mamela, I, the seller, could eat fruit all day long until 2025. It's not a problem of interest. And but the other story was when I say, when you get me all the money in 2025, it will become yours retroactively from 2024. If that's the case, I, the seller, cannot eat any fruit off the field. Why? Because it wasn't mine in 2024. It might be yours in 2024. You'll do retroactive clarification in 2025. I won't know whose it is. But you know what this is? Rabbi Isai. I'm going to tell you something. Let's see if anybody, what's his name is not here? AB. But the Olam watching. And you guys, I'll be very impressed if anybody knows this. When there's a reason to believe that it's not going to be interest, because the guy is going to buy it in 2025, you could say it is interest, you could say it's not interest. There's two ways to go. Is that considered interest or not? How do we call that in the halachas of ribis?
Suffolk ribis?
Suffolk ribis, exactly. But it's not called that. In this situation, if the guy actually comes through and purchases it, there's no problem with ribis. The problem is that if he doesn't purchase it, then it'll come out that there was the ribis there. Because he had no right, the buyer had no right to eat the fruit. So if he didn't purchase it, then it's ribis on the buyer. Right? If he does purchase it, it's not a problem. But there's a 50% chance he'll purchase it, 50% chance he won't purchase it. Is that ribis? Rabbi Yehuda is of the opinion, sad echad beribis. Remember we had sad echad beribis means there's a 50% chance that there'll be ribis. It's not a problem. Okay, so let's go. Tani Rav Safra beribis, the Reb Chia. Rav Safra learned from Reb Chia. We just had Reb Chia, Reb Shaya. These are the authors of the Brises. You see, as we go through Shas, we become more and more familiar with this. Reb Chia wrote the main Brises. And Rav Safra read one of his brises. It's like a riddle. You have to guess the riddle. Rava guessed it for us. When there's a down payment, both the buyer and the seller could eat from the fruit of the field if there's a down payment on the field. What's the case? We'll see in a second. The four cases here. Pa'amim, and sometimes shishnei masurim. There's a down payment, the buyer and the seller cannot eat any fruit. Sometimes the seller could eat, not the buyer. And sometimes the buyer could eat, but not the seller. What's the answer to the riddle? Ani Rava Basrei, and Rava said immediately. Very, very simple, Rabbi said. Sometimes both of them are allowed to eat the fruit. When the buyer tells the seller, what's your down payment? You give me a 20% down payment, then you could eat 20% of the fruit. I eat 80%, you eat 20%. Boom. So both of us are mutter to eat. When can't either of them eat the fruit? Like we had before. When you buy it in 2025, it will become yours today in 2024. Retroactive. Both of us cannot eat fruit, as I explained before. Depends. If the buyer eats the fruit, then it's a problem if it's sold. If the seller eats the fruit, it's a problem. If it's not sold, the kitzer, it's a problem either way. Sometimes the seller could, and the buyer cannot eat. When you bring me money in 2025, then it'll become yours in 2025. But until 2025, I, the seller, can eat as much as I want. It's mine, 100%. And finally, what's the case when the seller could eat and not the buyer? How many minutes do we have here? 53. This is an interesting case. It's yours 100%. And you'll owe me the $1 million, pay me whenever you can pay me. But today the field is yours. Oh, if today the field is yours 100%, who could eat? The buyer could eat, not the seller. Oh, and this is the point that we brought up before. Who's the man that says both of them cannot eat? The like Reb Yehuda. It cannot be like Reb Yehuda. Because what does Reb Yehuda say? When there's something called Tzad Echad Beribis. That's what Yosef called it before. What did he call it before? Safek ribis. Tzad echad means there's only one side that there'll be ribbis, but the second side says there won't be ribbis. In other words, it's a suffix. Rabbi Yehuda, it's 100% mutter. Why? In this case, because what if the buyer actually goes through with the sale and he buys it, then there's no ribbis at all. So he's allowed to eat the fruit. What are you concerned? Maybe he won't buy it. Okay, that's a suffix. It's 50%. Again, a case where a guy lends him $1 million and he gives him a piece of real estate that's worth $2 million. So the borrower, the lender, tells the borrower, listen, if you ever sell this field, you have to sell to me. I want the right of first refusal for how much? For $1 million. But the real estate is worth how much? 2. What is that called? Ribbis. I'm giving you a loan for $1 million, and I have the right of first refusal on a piece of property for half the price.
Oh, for half the price.
Half the price. 10% discount. I don't care.
Just a right of first refusal, that'd be okay?
Yes, that's the next line. B'shaviyayim. If it's the right market price, mutter. The reason why it's also is because he took a discount on the real estate. Why did he get a discount? Because he gave him a loan. That's interest. I'm giving you $1 million loan, and you have to give me a discount on your house. That's straight out interest.
Isn't it the same amount that he gave him $1 million?
No, he's getting a $2 million house. If it's the same amount, b'shaviyim. If it's $1 million for $1 million, then it's mutter.
He's getting a benefit, but it's not costing the guy anything, really.
What do you mean?
He's getting a benefit that he has the right of first refusal now by lending him the money, but it's not costing the guy anything.
Correct. He's not losing. The borrower's not losing any money.
But the other guy's gaining.
Yeah, because he wants to live right over there. He likes that neighborhood. Who is this man that says that it's also to get a discount on the real estate? Once again, this will be a problem if you hold tzad echad beribis is mutter. Why? Because what if the borrower pays back the loan 100%? Then he won't get the discount on the piece of real estate. I see you're having trouble there.
Yeah.
This is a deal. I'm borrowing $1 million from you. If you pay me back in full, great. If you don't pay me back in full, then I get a discount on the house. Instead of $2 million, I'll pay you only $1 million. But there's a 50% chance or 90% chance the guy will come up with $1 million and pay me back. So that's not interest according to Rabbi Yehuda. Yes, you got a great deal on the house, but it's only because you didn't pay the loan. You had a choice to pay the loan. Ribbis means ribbis ktsutsa. No matter what, I'm giving you $1 million. No matter what, you're going to pay me back $1.1 million at the end of the year. That's ribbis ktsutsa. But if I'm giving you a loan for $1 million, at the end of the year you could pay me $1 million and it was zero. Or if you don't pay me $1 million, I'm going to get your house that's worth $2 million.
You don't think I paid $900,000 for this house for $2 million?
I don't know. That's a whole different story. You're going down into details. If you don't pay me back the full $1 million, I get your house. I get to buy your house instead of $2 million market value. I'm going to pay you $1 million. So according to Rabbi Yehuda, it's mutter. Why? Because it's sad echad beribis. It's not a guarantee that I will get that discount on your house. Because if you decide to pay me in full, I won't get any discount. So there's only a 50% chance, or call whatever percent chance you want. There's a good chance that this will never happen. The interest payment won't happen. And there's a good chance the interest payment won't happen. According to Rabbi Yehuda, that's mutter. Let's keep on going. He sold him a house, and he says, "Listen, I know that you're in rough time. I know that you sold me the house because you're in a rough situation, right? Yosef, you ever have these houses that people sell because they just don't have money?" Okay, so the guy tells him, when I have money, I want you to return my property. Also, why is this also? You know what's going on here? I'm gonna buy your house. When you have money, Mr. Seller, you'll pay me back what I paid, and I'll leave your house. You know why that's also? You got to use the house for a whole year for free. You gave him $1 million for the house. After a year, you get back $1 million, and you just had a year of rent free in the house. That's called interest. I got my $1 million back, plus the whole year of rent-free. Awesome. Look, you got to think about these things. It's unbelievable. I don't know if I would have thought about this exact case a year ago. Says Gemara, or a month ago, or yesterday.
Basically, he's selling the house and he tells the buyer, when I have the money, I'm allowed to buy it back from you?
Yes. And then, but you lived there for 10 years. And then he got kicked you out for the same price you bought it for.
But it went up in value, maybe.
Okay, that's something else. That's real estate in America. Now when you have a hut that's 4x4 in the middle of Iraq. Says over there is literally like the guy told me. I understand that the value goes down every year. Yeah, of course it goes down because it's made out of mud. And every year, a couple inches of the mud peel away. Shkoyach. Sorry, what did just happen? When the reverse happens, that's mutter. Depends the buyer or the seller. Says Gemara Mantana. So, according to Rabbi Yehuda, since it's possible that this will never happen, then it's mutter. How come when the seller makes the condition, it's mutter? Because when the seller makes the condition, he's just trying to be nice. And memela, that's mutter. Rabbi say, tomorrow's Erev Shabbos, shears at 2:00. If you can make it, great. If you want to come just say hello to our famous guest all the way from Baltimore, I don't know when the last time he was in Chicago. Oh, for my son's wedding. I know he's there for my son's wedding. I don't know if he came to any shear over there live. Oh, hold on. Oh, maybe that's tomorrow's now. Official's coming. I just want to show this real quickly.
He came with a seal.
Rav Huna says, Moicher says, L'chimaisis Kani. Rav Anan says, he just really liked these pictures of the guys that came, the way they came out, the Moicher and the buyer and the seller. Okay, great. Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful day. We'll see you tomorrow, Be'ezer Hashem. Whoa.